Hey guys, Alex here with the Traveling Foreigner Game bonus for Social Encrypted. That's www.socialencrypted.com. And what this is about is me talking to you about how to optimize getting the most amount of chicks and making the Traveling Foreigner Game thing work. So, I've been traveling the entire world a whole lot. First with RSD and now on my own. And, just as a tourist and loving it. And I'm always looking for, the cheapest alcohol, the cheapest accommodation, the hottest girls, the most easiest logistics, things like that. So I'm just going to run through a whole lot of ideas that we've learnt over time that should give you an advantage in your travels and in the way that you go out and pick up chicks, and hopefully you can get a lot out of it. So traveling foreign again. We all like to travel, we all like to go on holidays, and the first thing that I would say is when you're on the road, when you're meeting chicks, it's a lot easier if you don't go to places like Ayia Napa, Rhodos, the Greek islands. Don't go to, what the fuck do you call it? Spring break type places, Cancun. Don't go there. If like chodes are talking really loud about how amazing it is to go there, don't go. I went to places like Acapulco, I went to Cancun, I went to Ibiza, I went to the Greek islands, and these are places that draw in crowds and crowds and crowds of young Norwegian chicks, young Swedish chicks, young American chicks who want to get fucking drunk and half naked and all the rest of it. And it's not that good. It's really not that good, because in those places like Cancun, for example, or the Greek islands, or the Mediterranean coast in the summer times, there are guys there who are going to have amazing bodies, amazing logistics. They're going to own the fucking bar, and those guys are kings, right? When girls go on holidays to those kinds of places, when they travel there, they get a little bit tribal, and they want to fuck like the tribal leader, not so much a guy like yourself who might be, decent looking, decent wealth, decent logistics. No, they all would happily and sluttily fuck the king, whoever that might be, in whatever context they might find themselves in. So the first big tip is we've had the most success when we go to like regular residential cities. So, for example, Helsinki, Stockholm, Copenhagen, Oslo, Berlin, Munich is really good. Vienna is really fucking good. London's really good. Scotland, Edinburgh is really good. Dublin, I've had a lot of fun there as well. The places where, like Rio de Janeiro, not necessarily for carnivals and festivals, but places where people are just traveling through. They've got time on their hands. It's not like a huge kind of traveling event or festival type event where things are expensive to begin with. People are just taking their time, enjoying the city, and there's a lot of fixed variables. There's not some like big, blown out of proportion, hyped up kind of event, which can disappoint a lot of people, can fuck up what they expected the experience to be, make them overly emotional, over the top, overly slutty or whatever. So if, for example, if you're an American and you just go traveling to a different American city and go to the clubs there, great. If you are American and you want to go to Mexico City, or go to one of the big cities and go to a regular party and do it that way. Don't necessarily go to a tourist hub, because things get just so much more intense. And yeah, it is fun if you can handle it. And yeah, there's a lot of options. And yeah, it is a party scene. And yeah, it's crazy. There's a lot of good stories that come out of that. A lot of exciting, but not necessarily good. But if you want to just get in and get laid and have fun and do it that way, we love doing that. We have chosen to go to Helsinki, Finland every year for the last 10 years because it's been the most fun, the most straightforward, the most easy. And then we go to places like Krakow, Warsaw, and we stay in places like hostels. So you'll have a lot more fun doing a tour through Europe, or doing a tour through the United States, or doing a tour through, Southeast Asia. And if you go to Southeast Asia, for example, the full moon party is a fucking nightmare. Like, logistically, it's a nightmare. And it is extremely fun if you go with a group of friends, but in terms of getting laid, it becomes very complicated, very intense. A lot of drama going on, a lot of drama associated with the girls. So if you were to go to Thailand, not for the full moon party or not for the water festival, and just kind of go to Bangkok, go to Koh Samui, go to Koh Phi Phi, and just enjoy it, go with the flow, then there's a lot of options to be had. So don't seek the big events. That's my first piece of advice. Next, there's two ways to travel. You can travel in hostels or you can travel in hotels. Hotels are bullshit. Okay, when you're young, hotels are bullshit. Don't even bother. Go to a hostel. Stay at a hostel. It's a lot better. As you get, if you're a young guy and you're traveling around, you've got to stay in dormitories of like 30 people at a time. Fair enough. Do it. Okay, if you have no other choice, then just stay there. There's always going to be people to meet, events going on, alcohol to be drank, good deals, and a good mix of people coming back and forward. When you kind of graduate beyond that and you want to stay in hotels, it's complete rubbish because you have the money to pay for a hotel and you get the privacy and you get like a clean bathroom and whatever. But often what hotels will do is they won't let you bring guests in. Only you and your whoever's staying there can come in, or you can stay there on your own, but you've got to pay for a double room, which gets pretty expensive if you want to stay there or travel, on a bigger scale. So hostels are totally fine. What is a really cool thing to do is to stay in a private room in a hostel, like a room to yourself, and a lot of hostels offer that, and share a bathroom and share all the other facilities. So you get to meet everybody else and have fun, but you can lock yourself away, put your earplugs in and sleep properly. And if you really want to pull a girl from your same hostel, you can get the privacy that you need when it comes to actually hooking up. And that's worked really well for me in the past, having a semi-professional job from a young age, having a reasonable income, is I would love traveling around to Central Europe, Eastern Europe, and staying in hostels and being in the common area and chatting to people and going on the hostel events. And then having my own room to take them back to. That worked just so brilliantly. And the girl would stay in bed with me and she could sneak back to her friends or whatever at whatever stage. The other thing is when you stay in those kind of, with hostels, here's such a key thing with the logistics. With hostels, if you make friends with the staff, then you can bring outside people into the hostel. If you don't make friends with the staff, then you cannot bring people into the hostel because people are always fucking around with the rules and they just make these firm, almost like Nazi grade rules that you can't bring people in. So if you pay for a two-bedroom bed, a two-person bedroom, and you say that you might have a friend joining you, you don't know when they're going to arrive. They're coming in from whatever fucking country. They could arrive any night and you're going to share the room together, two people, one room, one bed. That's great. Then you can pull a girl to a hostel and the accommodation is cheap. It might not be the classiest shit, but it is, I've got to admit, it's really fucking fun. When we went to Brazil, we should have stayed in hostels instead of hotels because the hotels get extremely expensive and everything associated with a hotel is expensive, like the food and the logistics and the services and all the rest of it. It's all too much. So what we would do is we made the mistake of staying in hotels and they wouldn't even let us pull girls back there in a lot of cases and they would charge us extra money. We'd have to go through due processes and we would pull from clubs and they would say things like, okay, you need to pay like $50 extra for everybody who comes in after hours, which is just rubbish. So go for the hostels. They're awesome. I highly recommend them. Even as you get to your late 20s, it's a fun thing to do. And you're even kind of more like an authority in the hostel itself, which is good. You're a bit like a leader. I remember when I stayed in different hostels around Eastern Europe, naturally, if you know about game and if you've got an idea in your head, you start to pull authority in the groups and at the group events. The other thing is, just because you've got a whole lot of girls around you, you've still got to kind of go through the due process of enjoying the night and then going home with the best option. So enjoy the night. Don't try to pull just because the girls are in front of you and they have a bed next to you. Don't try to fuck them during the day. You can, but it's better to go through the whole process of the night, have fun, show that you've got, some social capabilities compared to the other guys in the group, and then, go home with the hottest chick there or the best option there. And there's a lot of really, really cute chicks. When you're hosteling, the problem is, when you're traveling and doing the hostel thing, and just meeting chicks in the hostel, beautiful chicks otherwise wouldn't be anywhere near as well groomed as, well groomed or well dressed as they would be if they were living in their original city. So doing the hostel circuit is nowhere near as good quality as the kind of chicks that you might meet in regular city nightclubs. So I think it's a really great idea. For example, if you're traveling to Australia, there are hostel parties almost every night of the week. But in the city, there are cheap clubs where you get to meet the locals, and the locals are dressed absolutely amazingly. And they're cool and they're approachable, but they can work out more regularly, they can play sport, they can eat properly, they've got good cosmetics, and it's just a whole better standard. So being a traveler, if you can realize that girls who normally would dress really hot and have really, really nice makeup, they're gonna remove those things. They're gonna dress of a lower standard and have less makeup, less cosmetics, less better hair. They're gonna be less turbo. But the girls who can dress hot and are local are going to be equally as sexy as a girl who is traveling and can't dress hot when they're naked under the shower. So even if a girl isn't all glammed up when she's a traveler, she's equally as hot when you get her into an intimate situation. So embrace that. And usually when you're in a traveling situation, in a kind of hostel situation, there's going to be a lot of alcohol going around anyway. And the good thing is about traveling is you get access to cheaper alcohol and cheaper deals and that kind of lifestyle. Now the other thing is, when you're a traveler, you've got so much time on your hands. When you're at school or university or with your family, with your friends, you start to get really, really freaking busy because you're working hard, saving money, doing, studying or whatever. So you use that time to your advantage. Okay, use a lot of leads. Create a lot of leads. Go out and do your day game. Do your day game all day. Walk around. I love walking around with my camera or my iPhone, even a travel book, and seeing the sights and approaching people at tourist attractions or in their element in the city, like on the subway. And I often would be on Instagram and ask girls and say, hey, do you know where this is? Oh, by the way, do you have Instagram? And go for there. One kind of trap about being a traveler and having too much time on your hands is that when other people are busy going about their day and you've got all that time on your hands, you tend to worry about why your leads aren't following up at like 7 a.m. in the morning. You're just lying there with nothing to do all day except for, go and chase more chicks. And you start to get a disproportionate sense of time because you can text all day, but other people aren't. They can't sit around texting and dating all day. So don't stress too much about that. You can text a lot of people, but remember that other people are busy, and usually it takes a busy girl maybe a week to organize to date you, and maybe they need to meet you socially before they're going to plan to see you one-on-one. Nonetheless, in most cities you can go out every night on some kind of pub crawl or do something fun like that, and there's always options for the one-night stand that isn't date. So work your social media, do a lot of day game. Now when it comes to day game when you're traveling, I love it. You can go around to the other hostels and meet other hostel people. They usually have cool events, and just say that you're over there to check out the hostel. You heard it was a good facility. You read about it on Lonely Planet or hostelworld.com. Meet the people there. Create the options. Find out where they're going to be. And if you can create friendly faces in the day, then you can create really good leads to hook up in the night. So the more people that you meet in the day, the more options that you have at night. Especially use your social media, Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, or whatever, and continue to tell your story with social media so people can keep up with what you're doing. What I love to do when I'm traveling, either for work or just for fun, is go to a bookshop. Go to a bookshop and sit there all day. Because the kind of people who go to bookshops, the kind of girls that go to bookshops, are travelers as well. So we do a lot of day game on our programs in the 4weeknatural.com, and we'll go to the bookshop, and most of the people that we meet are going to be tourists, and they have a lot of time on their hands as well. So bookshops are awesome. Tourist attractions are amazing. The Sydney Opera House, what do you call it? The big temple thing in Rome. No, not Rome, Athens. I don't even know what it's called, but I went there years ago. And you meet a lot of tourists there. Get their details, share travel stories, stop and have a coffee with them, have a beer with them, and whatever. It's really, really cool. So go to those places. Go to Central Station. Go to the Central Station and find people who are arriving and asking their details. And, there's going to be people leaving as well. I've done a lot of pickup in airports. But logistically, the likelihood of linking up all over again with somebody who you met in an airport is not easy. As you get older, it's possible to buy flights and create those kinds of opportunities, but it's better, and it seems to work out better to travel by train or bus if you can, especially if you're on mainland USA. It's a lot cheaper. You've got more time. You can get travel companions to kind of hang out with as you go. Or Europe, traveling around Europe, or Southeast Asia. That is very good for buses and trains. and those kind of ferry transfers, and they are very social environments, whereas aeroplanes and airports are quite restricted and regimented. So if you can avoid air travel when you're doing your trip, do so. Of course, for the big legs and the intercontinental stuff, take your plane, but it's not really a good place to meet chicks that follow through. I have done it. It's been good. I've met chicks in airports that I've made long-time connections with and hooked up with. But I've made many more connections with girls in train stations and bus stops and things like that, ferries, which is really cool. Okay, what else do you need to know? Traveling foreigner game. I'd say you can almost live for free if you're smart about it. If you're smart, especially if you're working with your hostel, you could live absolutely for free if you do the research. And okay, so speaking of research, how do you find where is a good place to stay? When the summer's coming up, if you don't book 3 or 4 months in advance, you're going to be fucked. You're going to be completely fucked. So you've got to, for example, I believe it's like April right now, mid-April. I booked my summer accommodation in Europe and my flights for Europe 4 or 5 months in advance. By booking it in advance, I get the best places. And now I only go back to places that I've already been, or I go to places where I know someone who knows exactly where to go and what to do. I've spent too many trips where I've been in the wrong accommodation, too fucking far away from the city, paying too much because everything that was reasonably priced sold out. I want you to understand the way that airplanes work. If a flight has like, say, 100 seats, some can have 300, or just say 100 seats, for example. The airline sells like 5 business class seats, 5 like Flexi Plus seats, then Flexi Fare, then Flexi Saver, then Saver. So there's all these different fare types based on demand. And if there's 100 seats, a Saver fare, which is non-refundable, might cost $100. And imagine you're flying from Stockholm to Croatia. It's like a 2.5-hour flight, $100 for a one-way. Then the next tier up, once they sell out 20 of those seats, the first 20 seats, then there's like Flexi Saver. And Flexi Saver has some flexibility, but not a lot. Maybe you can rebook it, maybe you can refund it, whatever. And that might be $140. Then there's Flexi, and that you can fully rebook, and that might be $200. So all of a sudden the price is doubled for the same flight. Then there's Flexi Plus, which might give you like some extra leg room or some extra bonuses or some bullshit, who knows. That might be $250. And then there's first class, which there might be 4 or 5 seats, 6 seats, and that can be $700 because some people just like to do it that way. So the sooner that you book, the better. And in my experience, even when I planned months and months in advance, the Flexi fares were really, really worth it to completely cancel for no refund. I found that to save me money over the long run, instead of booking Saver fares way out in advance, losing them and needing to make my change my plans last minute, and that would then cost me, $400 more than what I originally expected to pay compared to the Saver fares. So just understand that that's how that works, and therefore the train system and taking longer between destinations is better, and the adventure is in the journey. There's a lot of people to meet in the journey, which is good too. I guess, when you're traveling as well, you're going to meet a lot of people of different shapes and sizes, and I would be able to kind of hook up with a different person every night of a different interesting type of attraction, but you would never meet your perfect girl, like your perfect Vegas girl or perfect New York girl or perfect Sydney girl, just because people are not in their element where they can prepare themselves as properly as they want. So it's more like a party, intimate, messy, like very, very, very fucking messy lifestyle where you're always hooking up and getting some kind of like fun, young 20s action, but not ever, ever perfect. And, as you're traveling, it's impossible to stay in shape. So just don't even bother. Don't even try. The food is cheap. The food is crap. There's a lot of alcohol. Beer fucks you up. Your stomach hurts all the time because you're hungover. And the problem just compounds itself badly. So what I would say is what does work for me is having a really, really low-fat diet. So have protein and carbs and limit your carbs and limit like cut out your oils as much as possible. Cut out the oily stuff. So that way you have a good carb source. You have good protein, eat your meat, have, protein, whatever. Have sandwiches, but avoid things like butter, deep fried, fish and chips, things like that, crisps, because that will add up so quickly and get you out of shape so fucking badly. Beer itself is absolute hell in terms of your weight and like losing your shape. It makes you like look like a fucking egg, but it's so tasty. And what I found worked for me is as I got more and more out of shape, I would just drink and forget that I was out of shape, and my game somehow got better because I was like the friendly fat guy. And the friendly fat guy got some really good attention. So I was like, oh, friendly fat guy, he's not alpha, he's not masculine and scary, we can hang out with him. And next thing you know, the results start to happen. So there's some other things about your diet and well-being. In terms of the actual game itself, when you're in backpacking type bars or whatever, I would say just go with the flow. Go with the flow. People are going to drink and have a good time. When a girl decides to go on a trip and be a traveler like you, she is going to have sex with so many more people than she anticipated, that she's going to wake up, every week and think, oh shit, I've slept with twice as many guys or been fingered by twice as many guys as I think is respectable to do so. So they have this extreme, what's the word? Like a kind of a guilt, an ongoing guilt, and an extreme sexual abundance and selectivity that it does kind of put them off, and they don't feel sexy because they're not sexy. They can't prepare themselves properly. They don't have their A game of their cosmetics put together. So it makes them a little bit off-putting. So the best kind of like game plan for meeting girls you're traveling with while you're traveling is be friendly and crash in the same space as them, right? So kind of friendly, talking shit, flirting, no escalation, no intent, but plenty of familiarity, plenty of physicality, but don't be physical to show them that you can escalate. Be physical just because you're comfortable in each other's space. Talk to a lot of people, have a lot of people involved, and then remind her, qualify her why she's cooler than all the other crazy people that you're meeting, that you feel a connection, that you feel like she can handle more bullshit than other people. And then when you're crashing in the same space, tired and maybe having a few drinks later at night, then you sleep together. So you're kind of keeping it chill. Anything happens after 2 a.m. Anything can happen after 2 a.m. when you're traveling, which is really cool. So don't rush before 2 a.m. because there's so much opportunity and abundance that you'll just screw it up if you push it and force it too hard. Next thing you need to know. That's a lot of like touristy backpacker game stuff. I can't stress enough. Book in advance, flights and accommodation. And when deciding where to go and what to do, where you want to stay, what works really well is what I do is I go to booking.com and I'll search, for example, Hvar, Croatia, or Stockholm, Sweden. And I'll do a hotel search, and I'll find where the hotels are, because the hotels are usually built around the nightlife district, like the socializing restaurant nightlife kind of district. And the district is usually centralized in a place where there's not as much limitations on sound late at night and things like that. So based on where all the hotels are, you can kind of get a sense of what's central and what's not, where you want to be and where you don't want to be. From there, then I will look at booking.com, have a look around, look for deals, and usually you can find some pretty good deals if you're a member of booking.com. I really like that service. Good for hotels and good for hostels. Beware, never book a one-person accommodation with a hotel, because they will not let other people come into your room. The reason why they don't let other people come into your room is because there's a fire hazard and it's illegal. And that's just them utilizing tiny rooms for profit, and then regulating the occupancy of those rooms so that in a way that they can control it and make people book other rooms. So it is actually enforced by the fire department and by law in different countries, so you just can't get around it. then I'll go onto Google Maps and have a good look around the city. And often with Apple Maps, you can see the city in 3D and kind of get a feel of it. Another really good way to kind of find out what's cool or where to go in a city is Instagram. So I will look around Instagram like Party Havar, Party Stockholm, Nightclub Stockholm, whatever. And I'll start to see common themes of places that people go and what's good. However, there's no way to know what's good or where to go on any given night. You've just got to keep asking around. And in my experience, I'm here in San Diego right now. It takes weeks. It takes a week or two to really figure out what's good. You can ask people in your hostel and get a kind of a hostel party straight away, and that's very instantly gratifying. But if you want to find the really cool parties, it's tricky to do. Social media is the best way to find that. Instagram being the best way to do that. So I do it that way, and I look for events that way, and that has been the best for me. So asking around, but even then it does take time. It takes some research to find the kind of demographic of cute chicks, reasonable prices, good accessibility, not too much VIP bullshit to deal with. Okay. When you do get a little bit older, when you graduate out of the hostels and you've got a little bit more money, what I do is I really like the after work drinks type of game where people have jobs. So you've got to get on your feet and get around the city to like hotel bars, restaurants. Hotel bars are really the best one because you can find traveling types of people who are traveling for conferences, people who are on holidays to see friends and family, people who are there for events, people who are tourists like yourself. And you go from the Marriott to the Hilton to the Sheraton to the Omni and just keep going in circles and do the coffee shops in those kind of areas until you find the kind of people that you're looking for. We would even go as far as to find out where the Emirates and Etihad and airline staff were staying from the good airlines, what kind of places they would be staying in, because they would tend to then draw a crowd of a similar demographic and have good deals on drinks for people like that. So we knew in Australia, like where the Virgin Australia staff stayed and where the international air hostesses stayed, like the Singapore Airlines girls and the Etihad Airways girls would stay. And it's no guarantee that the girls will actually be hot, but at least they're like partying, traveling, adventurous type people who are kind of open-minded, which is good. So it takes time, and it's kind of a thin crowd for those kind of traveling type people. But in America here especially, conventioneers are really fun. Like young professional girls who'll travel to San Diego or Houston or Chicago or Vegas, stay for a couple of days, hang out at hotel bars, they'll drink, they'll eat, they'll party, they'll stay up late, they'll fool around, and that's really cool. So if you're 25 and above and you're wearing suits and you're dressing nicely, that's the way to go. And don't be afraid to approach people at restaurants. Don't be afraid to. If you're a restaurant going type of guy and there's other girls at restaurants and they're in your demographic, go and make the approach. Maybe wait till they go and approach the bar, wait till they're having a smoke or whatever, if you really don't want to impede on other people's tables, but do that. Another thing with day game, as you get a little bit older, I'll notice that with day game, girls tend to be more available when they're out shopping and dining or post-exercise or whatever from kind of like in the morning, from like 10 o'clock until 1 o'clock. And after that, they'll go home and prepare for the night or relax or be homely. So they're more like going out for lunch and midday, because in a girl's mind, if she's going to get up and go shopping, that's her first priority for the day. She wants to go out 9 a.m., 10 a.m., get there and get into it because they love that kind of thing. Whereas us guys, we want to get up, go to the gym, recover from the gym, eat some food, and then go day gaming. It's kind of like a dead zone for meeting chicks, chicks who are available, chicks who aren't working, from from 3 o'clock until 5 or 6 o'clock, and then the evening game is good, but it's thin. It's good, but it's thin. You've got to kind of do a lot of legwork to find the options that you want. So yeah, they are my traveling foreigner game tips, and I love it. I love traveling and meeting chicks and going to these places, and I'm working on a program for Tinder and Bumble a little bit later. They're two great apps for meeting people, and there's not a great science to Tinder and Bumble. Just have, solid photos, be chatty, try to get the girl on the phone with the phone number as quickly as possible so she can hear your voice and know that you're real. Get her over to Instagram or Snapchat as quickly as possible as well. That's usually a little bit easier than the phone number itself. And get to meeting people that way. So We'll get the conversation started in this thread as well. Anything else, we can open it to the floor. But that is my basic ideas on traveling foreigner game. It's pretty chill, enjoy the romance of the interaction, spend days together, deliberately have fun wasting time together, drink a fucking bottle of wine and be romantic, because it's just some of the coolest, funnest things when you meet a girl from the other side of the world and you fall in love and you have those experiences, and then you do it again the next week in the next city. It's a bloody good time. Cool, guys. This is Alex, and if you've liked this, always think about participating in one of the final 4-week natural programs that I'm going to do in 2016 and 2017. I definitely won't be doing this job in 2018. Enjoy, guys. Enjoy, and let's chat on the forum.